Hello and welcome to Cosmic Current. This is Helane Lipson. I am joined by my co-host, CJ Miller.
Hey.
And we are teaming up to bring you news, opinion, and wisdom from the latest waves of information entering our collective consciousness at this time. Hello, CJ.
Hey, Helene. It's so great to be back. How are you?
I'm so good. Gosh, the last show we did was in 2012, and now it's January 2013. Can you believe December 21st, 2012 came and went?
I know, it seems like so long ago, and yet it was just a little while ago now.
Well, you know, we were like counting the minutes to that date. We were like so focused on that date. I mean, people were even talking about like 3 days of darkness and calamity. Well, there were other people talking about it like it's the day of reckoning, the day that they would actually be ascending. But a lot of attention has been on that date. And I think people feel a little disappointed, like we were expecting some major change, and here I am. I still have to go to work. I still am taking care of the kids. I am still dealing with all the same issues that I was dealing with before, and I don't think that people, I mean, to me, I don't think that people are recognizing that there is quite an undercurrent of change. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, gosh, you know, I was just thinking as you were talking how much has transpired since 12/21/12 until now, which is January 30th. Excuse me, or perhaps it's the 31st at this point. But and to me, it almost seems like a different world that we're in. So a lot has changed, and yet it's all in the subtleties. So I guess if I were speaking to the masses, maybe I would be hearing more of that. But I'm hearing that people, you know, on the other hand, people are remarking upon the feeling of bliss that they're enjoying at this time, and how they're now in the fifth dimensional world. I mean, I'm reading things like that too, and sometimes I'm able to reach that, and I think you are too. But it's not a constant, and there's been a lot of rough spots.
It's interesting. Well, 12/21. The essence, or is the birth of a new consciousness. This is the underlying message, or the essence of what is happening, and the truth of the matter is, we're almost in two different dimensions at the same time. We're in a fifth dimensional reality, and I guess we need to clarify what constitutes a fifth dimensional reality. I think it's basically where we're moving into the heart. We're acting compassionately toward ourselves and others, and it's not exactly about being nice to people. Compassionately means not judging yourself, loving yourself, honoring yourself, appreciating yourself. And in doing so, that will come out in your treatment of others. So what I feel like is, as we're moving into a fifth dimensional reality, we're becoming less critical of ourselves and others. But also, we're complaining less. We're accepting more about what is. And we're not worrying about what is coming up in the future or feeling guilty about issues in the past. We're being much more zen in the now when we're in 5D. And that is the hardest thing to do, really. because we're also surrounded by so many people, family members, co-workers, that are still kind of stuck. And we can find ourselves almost brought down by their energy. And then that turns into our own energy. You know, in other words, we're almost lowered by this because then we start to think differently. I mean, the whole way to stay in 5D, it revolves around our thoughts. And so any thought that you're thinking over and over and over and over again, and the emotional intensity that goes along with it, is what is going to be created. And then we find ourselves almost, when we are brought down or when we're annoyed, we're almost brought down or lowered in frequency. So we really have to make this a habit, make these new thoughts a habit. And that is the thoughts of non-judgment, not reacting in the same old ways, but actually just responding in a less emotional, dramatic way. Because in the now, every minute, we really are fine. You know? What's your take?
Oh, that's I really am digging what you're saying, because, there's a sense of becoming very peaceful in oneself and developing that neutrality, which allows you to be able to respond rather than react to people. And, I've definitely noticed the ability to do that more and more. And to be able to, perhaps it's being more like embodying the higher self, being able to see that higher perspective and not get so emotionally embroiled. It's like there's a cushion around you. I feel that. Weren't we talking about that?
We were,
yesterday?
but it's a really good point about focusing to stay in the 5D, to stay above the fray. There has to be a focus on the self as being part of all there is, like unity. And all parts of you are divine. And when you are believing in your own divinity, you feel so full of love. You feel the beauty and the love in your heart, and then you're so open, and then you're so compassionate, and you have so much more energy that spills out in such a positive way on other people. And I think, though, in situations when we know that we are not jiving with someone, and you're saying like a buffer or separation, we were talking about how we're almost feeling a buffer between ourselves and those that are not resonating with us, that are actually complaining, that are actually blaming, that are actually miserable, partly because of the law of attraction. They're like this in The Secret, they say zigging while we're zagging, or we end up naturally in different places. But when there is that self-care, we are actually being protective of our energy. We're not placing ourselves in spots that upset our energetic frequency. And so I find myself being a lot more selective of who I want to chit-chat on the telephone with, what kind of places I want to go out to, dinner at even, or where I want to be. I mean, that's helped a great deal too. And of course, we're still human beings living on this earth. We wouldn't be honest if we said, or at least I would not be honest if I said I was blissful every minute, because it's not true. And especially even lately, I've felt other things coming up and out of me that had to be cleared out, things that were old issues that I even thought I dealt with that felt coming out of me, and I'm trying to stay on 5D by processing them as quickly as possible, sending them to the central sun for purification, doing excellent clearings. I heard this, you recently interviewed Franco Di Nicola on Solar Healing Radio. I heard
He's
him,
fabulous.
and he's fabulous, and I did a clearing of his. And I appreciate you introducing me to him. Fabulous.
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad. What a great, he has such a fantastic voice.
Now that's done wonders for me. Also, another thing that's done wonders is listening to, I found on Facebook this somebody named Laura Pleiadian, and she does these light transmissions. Very powerful. Another person I recently interviewed on my other program, Embracing What's Real, Mirabai Devi, another person who does amazing, powerful light transmissions. So to stay on a high frequency, I've had to do clearings, and I've had to do light transmissions. I didn't have to. I wanted to. But I'd love to hear, you had introduced me to something incredible the other day, and that was creating my own elixir. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And that, I don't know, it's just like all these different tools are coming to us. And maybe you explain how you make this elixir. It's amazing. I know I made a tiger's eye. I use the protect. I have a protect your energy one. There's a lot of different types of elixirs that you could make.
Well,
but go ahead. I'd love you to explain that.
Yeah, I mean, but like there you go. I'm just basically going through the process of gathering data as as in the old cosmic current, the pre-2013 cosmic current, we were basically reviewing other shows. We were talking about a lot of other people's stuff. And now we're doing a new method. We're actually doing more of our own thing. And we really want to bring tools to people, but also remark still upon the great videos that we've seen. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
Well, it's interesting. You're right. We are using our own tools, and when we did Cosmic Current in the past, we focused a lot on what it is we believe. Who do we believe in? What do we believe in? And a lot of it was listening to so many different teachers. At this point, I know, obviously, I brought up Franco Di Nicola. I also brought up this Laura Pleiadian and Mirabai Devi, but not looking at any of these people as a guru, just as people that had some interesting tools for us. Yeah, well, we're saying a lot of things here about tools, about ways to stay on a high vibration. And what is the most interesting to me, or what is been really intense lately, has been my dreams. It's been my dreams and my dream work. And another amazing thing I found is when I'm calling in the angels, when I'm calling in Saint Germain, when I'm calling in Archangel Michael, especially before bed, myself, I'm asking to remember these dreams as a way to help me be guided in my waking life. And that's helped a great deal too. A lot of the prayers we say at night together are, I got it from an Elizabeth Clare Prophet book. And there's a lot of different prayers of this sort, calling in the blue ray. Whatever it is, if it comes from the heart, there isn't really any specific thing to say. Intent is everything. Everything. And so dreams, I mean, I think though that's a way to shoot right into 5D, bypass the astral plane and some of the icky things that loom there, and go right to 5D in your sleep.
Right.
You're really loved, nurtured, and processing and growing in your dreams. I mean,
well, can I just say that makes a lot of sense, because as even you have explained to me about the 4D, and I do understand increasingly that can be, there's not all positivity in the fourth dimension. You have to be very careful what you do with your thoughts and what you can manifest.
Yeah.
Because it's not all love and light. And not to say that the fifth dimension is all love and light. So what is the difference between the fourth and the fifth dimension, though?
Well, to me, I was under the impression the fourth dimension is your astral plane. So a lot of people that haven't really completely ascended some of the extraterrestrial negative energies, they exist in parts of the fourth dimension. Different other groups looming the earth that have not been able to move to that heart-centered fifth dimensional reality would be in the fourth dimension or on the astral plane.
So really it sounds mostly like it's really about being in the heart center.
Right. Right. And so you would just shoot right up there because you're going to the fourth and fifth. We're like fluctuating between dimensions. Our solid self is the third dimension here on this earth plane, our physical body. Now they're saying, it is my impression too, that our DNA is changing and we're changing into crystalline beings. We're actually literally changing, and generation after generation we'll be evolving on a physical level that there will no longer, or there is almost no longer a 3D. People said starting 12, 12, 12, even children or babies born have a different genetic makeup than children born before that. That's only what I heard. I'm not a scientist, but there is a piece of me that does believe that we are collectively evolving. People are ascending whether they want to or not. We are being inundated with all kinds of energies. Naturally, there's light energies and extremely positive energies coming from the central sun, which is Alcyon, Pleiadian central sun. But we're also being inundated with some darker energies by those who wish to have us remain enslaved in the life we live. So we're inundated with chemtrails. We're inundated with a whole bunch of other pollutants that we ingest, fluoride and in the water, and a whole bunch of other things, GMOs with the food, and a perpetual daily rigorous life of stress for mostly everybody on the planet that's filled with meaningless fear because we came in as love. You know, we were talking about that, CJ. We were talking about how unnatural it is the way people live, waking up at 6 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know, and you put it so brilliantly about like getting up, having to do all the bodily functions very early in the morning.
Yeah, go to the bathroom early, sure.
Excuse me. And then, get dressed in clothes that are not particularly comfortable. and then drive in rush
Oh
hour
yeah, yeah. You have to
traffic
force feed yourself a
yeah,
breakfast.
exactly,
Yeah,
because
eat
it's
something.
too early.
Yeah,
And then you drive in the horrible, stressful time of the rush hour traffic to work.
yeah,
Get
yeah.
to work a long day in that uncomfortable outfit
Hmm.
amongst people that you might not really like, bad energies, and then I'll add, usually fluorescent lighting,
Yeah.
which is horrible for the energy.
They're giving you a
And
message as you're
mm,
there. You're lucky to even have a job. You're not much.
don't complain.
Don't
Get in
complain.
line.
You can barely make it anyway. There's no other way that you could pay your bills. You can't survive. You have to take this. So
Hmm.
most people are forced or feel forced to stay in a 3D reality where they feel powerless. Powerlessness is what it's like to be in a 3D reality. Powerless, angry, bitter, resentful, stuck, sad, depressed. It's also the pharmaceutical companies really cash in big on this, and they, just by taking some of these medications, like Prozac and Xanax and all these other things that are supposed to calm you down, it's actually calcifying your third eye so that you can't even look within.
The pineal gland, bit of the
Yeah,
third eye.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. It's in a lot of things. It's not just in the fluoride in the water and in toothpaste, but it's
It's
also in medications.
it's in
Uh,
a lot of
hmm.
things, so we need to start to think about what we need to take into our bodies,
Hmm.
but nobody is perfect. I don't, and even people, even, I've heard even ascended masters, some, some people have drank alcohol, some people were involved in sexual practice. I mean, there's a lot of different things. They weren't just Puritans only. I'm going to say not pure, but
With all the
they
Puritans,
were
the
pure in
best
their thoughts,
spiritualists of the
and they
day.
weren't ashamed of their habits. They were very
Right.
comfortable. There was
Hmm.
no shame. What the shame is all part of that 3D paradigm.
Yeah. So interesting use of the Puritan
I
ideal.
know.
They would seriously, because they use the shame to rule in an even more blatant way. Now it's kind of, it seems like we're in such an accepting society. It's very liberal and politically open-minded if you're like in a big city, and yet people don't even realize people who are very open-minded are completely within the matrix and cannot even see the structure. You know what I
Well,
mean?
anyone arguing for one political candidate or another, and they collect all the data and all the history on each of the political candidates, and they intellectually, verbally discuss, who's better and who's worse, and all the platforms, and
Hmm.
they're really all working for the same corporations, and then those global elite that are trying with all their might to hold on to this power. So, it's
Hmm.
interesting. Some people say, well, things will get worse before they get better, but I don't even totally agree with that. I think people are waking up in droves,
Hmm.
aren't they?
It feels that way. It feels like something has shifted and is continuing to shift. I just seem to notice more and more people being open-minded, a lot of them being young, very
Yeah.
young people in their 20s and younger. But I believe of those being the crystal children or the indigo children, and or more
Yeah.
open-minded to start. So, but you notice more of what you are focused on. So, like you were saying, the law of attraction. Um, So I think that things are changing, but then again, I really don't look at modern media or anything. My friend who comes over, she's like, "You don't really watch the news or listen to the news, do you?" I'm like, "No, no, no." She's like, "Let me just tell you about this woman that got killed." I'm like, "Oh, okay, great." Like, I'm glad I don't have to hear these horrible stories.
I mean, it's good to be, when
Yeah,
you believe in
not
something, if there
ignorant.
was a solution-oriented plan, if there was something that you can do to change the GMOs in food, if there was some kind of thing you can vote on, or if there was something in particular, or some kind of action that you could take, you should take it for something you believe in, for something that you're passionate about. But to harp on the problems over and over again and focus on the sadness and focus on the injustice is not helpful.
Especially the drama. There's a lot of focus on drama, negative drama, like abuse and fighting. Maybe that's just in New York City where I live now.
Well, we're inundated with it,
It's
and we're
yeah.
forced to actually download a new operating system where we can actually see through and have a sense of discernment, where we're able to clearly see this is for my higher good, this is not for my higher good, and constantly take the high road. Not always easy, and we're not always perfect. We're not perfect. But when you become aware, and when you ask for this discernment, and when you ask for guidance, spiritual guidance, and spirit to help you at an accelerated rate, they really come around. They are with you. You're not so alone. Part of feeling alone is part of this illusion, and basically, we're all energy. So if what was radiating out of our hearts was love, joy, peace, elation, contentment, compassion, it would spread like a ripple in a pond. And that's why we have to stay full of love. Stay heart-centered. It's an incredible topic, and I'm so glad that we were able to reopen our series and talk about this, because this is what so many people are talking about these days, at least people that are in our circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was helpful talking about the tools, light transmissions, asking for guidance before sleeping, creating elixirs. I've even I even take a saltwater bath every single night and cleanse my aura. And I would suggest that to anybody coming out of some dense frequency energy area.
Oh yeah, I tried that for the first time, like in earnest, yesterday. Here, I've heard you doing it for so many, thousands of times, and finally did it, and you feel the difference right away.
You know, you are sinking energetically when you have this gnawing pang in your solar plexus. How do you know you're going? You got this pang in your solar plexus, and that's your center of personal power. And as that is depleting, and you're feeling powerless over any situation, then that is when you need to jump in, get control of your thoughts before you sink so low, take a bath, spray yourself with an elixir, use some crystals and keep them with you, sage yourself, any of those things, any of those.
Yeah, and oh, that's right. So the way that you made the elixir for yourself was to kind of release or to protect yourself from negative energies, or wasn't it
Yeah,
for like cleansing purposes? So you
yeah.
use the salt, you use the distilled water with sea salt or with kosher salt, and then a crystal that corresponded to what you needed. So what did you use for?
I made a grounding spray. Now,
Oh,
when
right.
you were talking about it with me, you were talking about it as a third eye opener, using crystals. using
Yes.
some of our third eye opening stones and clear crystals. And still in salt water, and then charged in the sunlight, and then taking that water and then putting it in a spray bottle and spraying it on the spot, like you were talking about spraying your third eye or ways to open yourself. I changed it up. I decided to make a grounding mixture, using a grounding protective mixture to minimize the influence of negative energy. I mean, remember, I'm a reader. I do psychic readings all day, so I could very much fall prey to taking in some of the energy if I'm not careful and cleanse. But I use tiger's eye and black tourmaline.
Oh, yeah.
And did the same thing. Let it charge it outside in kosher sea salt, kosher salt, sea salt, and Himalayan salt mixture.
Oh.
And then now use it as a spray. It's wonderful. I spray it on the back of my neck. Feel that is where, the back of my neck, the top vertebrae on your back, because it seems that this is where that negativity enters. And also it neutralizes it right away. I noticed the effect too. I think that was a great tool, a great suggestion. So
yeah, well, just that one day that you helped me with using the salt water on the back of my neck like that and on different parts of my body, like you could instantly feel the release. And then the idea of putting it in a bottle, like a nice little spray bottle, and then making it an elixir is just over the top. It's perfect. So lots of great tools coming to us. You're right. So this is the change from looking at what other people are doing, and even though we're still taking in good information from people that we resonate with, there's more of a focus now on generating our own ideas, but coming from a place of being heart-centered, and which is really important right now, and especially in the time of the divine feminine. I've also heard that at this time, in at this era, any kind of creation that is not done from a place of the heart, that is done from the place of the mind, will not be as great of a success. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Once you let go, that makes perfect sense, because once you let go of the self-criticism, and once you let go of the judgment, and once you let go of the inner anger and the inner guilt and, old feelings of shame, there's nothing left but love. There is nothing left but passion. And so it's so true. So I know that we are running out of time.
Yeah.
So I'd love to just thank our listeners again for tuning in to Cosmic Current. For more information about myself, Helane Lipson, you can find me at www.insightsbyhelane.com. And CJ?
Yeah, I'm CJ Miller, and you can find out more about me and my group, Whole Earth Healing, at wholeearthhealing.com. And you can also find links to more of my radio shows there. And we're also, Helane, we also have a new website that is in the developing stages. Is that right?
Yes, we are working on it. It is cosmiccurrent.org. So tune in. Keep your eyes open for our next episode. Until we meet again, love and light.
Love and light.
Namaste.